Hello, my name is Ivan Taylor, and I'm from Policy Dynamics in Ontario. And I'm going to talk today about some practical insights that I hope will be useful from the INCOSE Vision 2035. And I hope these will be useful for future system engineers in Canada. Now, just before I get started, I want to say that the Vision 2035 is a very, very detailed document, and I really can't do it justice in a few minutes of this presentation and in a few words. So I recommend that you read the document yourself and draw your own conclusions, but I want to present the things that I saw in the Vision 2035 that I think are relevant to Canadian systems engineers. And I'd be very happy to get feedback from those of you who have read Vision 2035 on whether I captured the essence of the document and whether these practical insights for Canadian systems engineers are useful. So with that said, let's get on with the presentation. So the document, the INCOSE Vision 2035, has 5 chapters. And the first chapter is an executive summary, which summarizes the whole document. And the second chapter is called the global context, and it situates systems engineering in the world at large, and it talks about the particular things that systems engineers need to know about the world around them. The next chapter is on the current state of systems engineering, followed by a chapter on the vision, or where the authors think the systems engineering needs to go in the future, and specifically by 2035. And then the last chapter is a series of roadmaps on how they think we can realize the vision. So when I read a document, or when I see a presentation, I like to talk about takeaways, and I like to generally have 3 takeaways, because I feel that with 3 takeaways, you can sort of remember what was intended from the document. So I'm going to give 3 takeaways for each of the chapters in Vision 2035. And so the first key takeaway from the executive summary is the Systems Engineering Vision 2035 aims to guide and inspire effective interaction between systems engineers, leaders, practitioners, researchers, educators, and policymakers. So as I said, it aims to guide and inspire effective interaction. The next thing is the emphasis in the vision document. And I believe that the emphasis is meeting future challenges by creating alliances between practitioners and educators. The next thing is the vision, is the 2035 outlook, and the Vision 2035 forecasts the need for digital transformation, model-based practices, automation, and AI to manage complexity. So the 3 key takeaways that I got from the chapter on the global context were the first one was the 2035 systems engineering landscape, which is in alignment with the UN, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and the United States National Academy of Engineering Grand Challenges. there's an extensive discussion of megatrends in the global context chapter, and it talks about the impact of these megatrends. So the global megatrends, such as sustainability and digital transformation, will affect transportation, healthcare, and energy, just to name a few. And these megatrends emphasize environmental and societal challenges. And the last takeaway I got from the global context chapter was the idea of smart systems in the future. And smart systems will focus on AI, automation, and autonomy, emphasizing safety and ethical concerns in AI, the importance of human-centric design, and digital availability. So the three key takeaways I got from the chapter on the current state of systems engineering were these. The first one was the evolution of systems engineering from intuitive practices in construction to modern competencies, technical skills, communication, and teamwork. The next takeaway I got was that systems engineering has moved beyond aerospace and defense, but into many, almost all other fields. But the chapter notes varying maturity levels and challenges of inconsistent application and the need for standardization. And the last takeaway was adapting to complexity. And the chapter notes that systems engineers have adapted to technological advances and tackled growing complexity in software. And this chapter stresses the need for collaboration between systems and software engineering and interdisciplinary knowledge, especially in AI and autonomous systems. So the three key takeaways I got from the chapter on the future state of systems engineering in 2035. The first one is the advancing systems engineering. And the future of systems engineering, according to the document, involves recognizing and leveraging phenomenon like model-centric methods, model trust, and value selection to address global challenges such as climate change. The second takeaway is navigating the evolving landscape, and systems engineers are increasingly needed in various fields, from medical devices to communication networks to autonomous systems, and lifelong learning is crucial due to technological advancements, with training providers essential for filling educational gaps. And the last takeaway I got was emerging trends in system engineering, and the future of system engineering emphasizes model-based practices, including trust patterns and credibility metrics. And AI is expected to significantly impact both the practice and the types of systems design, with a focus on secure real-time computing infrastructure. And the last three key takeaways I got from the Realizing the Vision chapter. And the first of these is collaborative vision realization, that collaboration is crucial for realizing the vision involving industry, government, academia, and nonprofits. The Vision 2035 strategic roadmaps are essential for the evolution of systems engineering, with recommendations for education, tools, and research. And the last thing is that we must take a holistic approach to future systems engineering challenges, recognizing the need for adaptability using model-based systems engineering. So these are the things I got from reading the summary of the things that I got from reading the document. And obviously, you know, this is not a complete list of everything that's in the document. And I would be very happy to discuss any things that you got that I didn't note here in this in these takeaways. But I'm going to move now to specific action items that I think Canadian systems engineers can take and are based on these extracted ideas I got from the Vision 2035. And I have 10 action items that I'm going to talk about. The first one is continuous education and skill development. And so we must engage in education programs to stay updated on model-centric practices, AI, and emerging technologies. The second action item is global collaboration and networking, where we actively participate in international conferences and join professional organizations to connect with systems engineers globally to gain diverse insights. And the third action item is incorporate ethical considerations to integrate responsible and ethical engineering practices into projects, ensuring privacy, transparency, and ethical standards. The fourth action item is to explore resilient system design techniques. And here we investigate and implement resilient system design techniques such as loss-driven systems engineering, LDSC. And the document also talks about opportunity-driven systems engineering. And I just note that in my previous presentation recently on how big things get done, I said that opportunities are great, but risks can blow your project out of the water. And loss-driven systems engineering is a technique to identify and handle potential risks to your project. So I think it's a very important idea. And personally, I think it's much more important than opportunity-driven systems engineering. The next action item is to contribute to grand challenges. So contributing to the grand engineering challenges in transportation, defense, healthcare, and education, however, within a Canadian context. And the sixth action item is to engage with government and policymakers and participate in industry consultations, providing expertise to policymakers to ensure regulations align with the goals of modern systems engineering. The seventh action item is to embrace model-centric practices and integrate model-centric practices into your daily work, exploring tools and methodologies related to digital twins, simulation, and visualization. The eighth action item is to collaborate on research and innovation projects with academia, industry, and other stakeholders. And the ninth action item is to advocate for systems engineering education and for the inclusion of systems engineering education in academic curricula, and to mentor students and collaborate with educational institutions to build a competent systems engineering workforce. And the last action item is to stay informed about Canadian context. And that is the specific challenges and opportunities, tailoring the systems engineering to meet the unique needs of Canadian industries. Now, Another thing that I do is I recognize that with every action, there's an intended consequence, which is generally positive, but there's also can be an unintended consequence, which is often negative. And so whenever I make a recommendation or suggest a policy option, I make sure that I identify the potential unintended consequences that might go along with that policy or action item. So I'm going to go through 10 unintended consequences, and I'm going to try to provide solutions to these unintended consequences. And these 10 unintended consequences are roughly related to the 10 action items that I just talked about. So the first unintended consequence is overemphasis on technology adoption, which may potentially neglect human-centric design. And the solution is to prioritize user-centric design to balance technological advancements. The second unintended consequence is the potential ethical dilemmas in AI implementation. And the solution, I think, here is to establish and adhere to clear ethical guidelines and conduct regular audits and adjust algorithms accordingly. The next unintended consequence is standardization challenges in global collaboration. And I think the solution here is to facilitate international dialogues and implement effective communication platforms for global collaboration. The next unintended consequence is educational gaps and uneven skill development. And I believe the solution here is to implement comprehensive professional development programs that balance technical and non-technical skills. And the fifth unintended consequence follows on from the fourth, and it's the potential neglect of non-technical competencies. So the solution here is to integrate communication and teamwork training into technical education programs. And the next item is unforeseen consequences of new resilience system design techniques. And the idea here is that with any new technique, you have to conduct thorough risk assessments and use prototyping to test new design techniques in controlled environments. The next unintended consequence is unethical considerations in implementation. And the solution here is to develop a comprehensive ethical framework and integrate regular ethical reviews into project milestones. The eighth unintended consequence is the potential lack of alignment with Canadian context. And the solution here is to continuously engage with industry representatives and tailor strategies to address specific Canadian needs. The ninth unintended consequence is the overemphasis on model-centric practices. And here there may be a disconnect between theoretical models and real-world application. And the solution here is to emphasize validation through real-world testing and application and encourage a balance between theoretical models and practical implementation. And the last unintended consequences that I'm going to talk about today are the challenges in advocating for education inclusion. That is, we may face resistance to including systems engineering education in academic curricula. And I think the solution here is to advocate with industry partners and engage with educational institutions and develop programs that align with both needs. So now I'm going to apply my own ideas and principles to this presentation, and I'm going to try to give you 3 key takeaways from this presentation. So the first one that I think I want you to take away is the strategic vision and the evolution of systems engineering. So systems engineering is evolving and adapting to global changes, and the future involves smart systems with AI and automation posing challenges that require collaboration and leadership by Canadian systems engineers. The next takeaway is adaptation and integration. And future systems engineers must recognize that there's a growing demand for diverse competencies, emphasizing lifelong learning and balancing theoretical models with practical implementation. And the last takeaway are challenges and action items. And I mentioned that collaboration is crucial for realizing the vision. And with the Vision 2035 strategic roadmaps focusing on education, tools, and research. Also, I listed the action items for Canadian systems engineers, which include global collaboration and ethical considerations, among other things. So I thank you for your attention. I'm opening the floor now to questions and comments, and I'm very interested in your feedback from people who have read Vision 2035 on whether they agree with my take on the document, and whether they think I missed something important, and whether they think that my action items reflect the ideas that the Vision 2035, how it can be applied to Canada and Canadian systems engineers. So let's have a good discussion. And if you want, you can reach me at any time at ivan@policydynamics.ca.